Throughout the early 20th century, the United States saw a large migration of Southern Africans towards New England with hopes of finding work, a home, and overall freedom. In a post-World War I era, the African American population felt it best to stay close and settle by one another. The idea of safety and more home-like atmosphere. After scouring Manhattan, it was time to head towards the suburbs, and one called their name Harlem. Named for a Dutch village, Harlem sat on the Upper East Side of Manhattan and welcomed these African Americans as foreigners. But they had no idea what was to come. This time and area would soon be known as the Harlem Renaissance.
Even at its peak, the neighborhood was a tragic slum. But segregation pushed rents up to a point where families could only survive by taking in lodgers. The consequently overcrowded apartments made some Harlem blocks amongst the most densely populated in the entire city, and contributed to rates of disease and death that exceeded dramatically those of the city's white population. With only a small number of manufacturing jobs available, and barred by unions and employers from skilled jobs, most blacks ended up in low-paid, dead-end service work. Of course, there was another kind of work for blacks in Harlem: numbers gambling. The racket employed, by one estimate, around 1,000 men and women collecting bets, and made a handful of the quote-unquote bankers operating the games into famously wealthy kings and queens. But as an illegal enterprise, it placed those involved at risk of arrest, and made them targets of white gangsters seeking control of the profits. It also tainted Harlem with criminality, as did the thriving trade in illegal liquor and entertainment that drew whites uptown during Prohibition.
Throughout all of Harlem, it was present. There was a scene from the arts, from the nightclubs to the theater. It was all over. Although none more famous than that of the Apollo Theater, home of the stars of all the 20s, from Duke Ellington, Louis Armstrong, and Gene Autry. It was never short on talent. As well, it was never short of capacity, with people flooding in from the streets to see them all perform live at the Apollo. In the Encyclopedia of American Urban History by David Goldfield, he states, culturally, New York City was at the height of the publishing and entertainment center of the United States, thereby increasing the chances of finding outlets and publics for African American writers and artists. This was the first time and place to make it as an African American entertainment industry. Another club, the Cotton Club, was almost just as popular as Apollo in Harlem. Founded by the first African American heavyweight boxer, Jack Johnson, it quickly became one of the hottest places to go at night. The club welcomed some of the biggest names like Louis Armstrong, Ethel Waters, Lena Horne, and Bill Bojangles Robinson. African American culture changed drastically over time, with all the influences and music industry that came from the Harlem Renaissance. As previously talked about, heading the Apollo, people like Duke Ellington and Louis Armstrong changed the way we heard blues music forever. It changed the way of all African Americans in music forever.
The one true way the world can all relate to the expression of oneself is through the strokes of paint on canvas, none more iconic than the Harlem artist. Langston Hughes, a poet throughout the era, had an impacting comment on the idea of art. Hughes said, "Perhaps the mission of an artist is to interpret beauty to people, the beauty within themselves to be exact." After browsing through artists from the time frame, it is clear they had this newly discovered beauty to show. It was as if the artists had created their own out of thin air. In a world left of Da Vinci's masterpieces for too long, Harlem came around and they brought masterpieces of their own. It was one of the only times in American history where the world was able to see African American culture on campus. With art coming in many different forms, one of the world's largest was idolized in the 90s. Langston Hughes' pictured above became widely known with his use of literature to capture Harlem's Renaissance feeling, the feeling of becoming one's self.
To conclude this video, we would like to turn to the powerful words of W.E.B. Du Bois, also known as the father of the Harlem Renaissance, who captured the heart and the minds of the time period in his literary works. He tells us this: "One ever feels his two-ness, an American, a Negro, two souls, two thoughts, two unreconciled strivings, two warring ideals in one dark body, whose strength alone keeps it from being torn asunder. The history of the American Negro is the history of this strife, this longing to attain self-conscious manhood, to merge his double self into a better and truer self. In this merging, he wishes neither of the older selves to be lost. He simply wishes to make it possible for a man to be both a Negro and an American.
Brought to you by Harlem, motherfucker.